to the Super Simple Homeschool podcast, where I help you find purpose in your homeschool while keeping it super simple. I'm your host, Jenny Hedrick. I'm a homeschool mom to 3 and mental health therapist of 20 years. Today on the podcast, I am sharing a preview of my course, CAN Homeschool. This is one of the videos included in the course, and it is all about how to get started homeschooling if you are making the transition from public school. In the next episode, I will share the video on how to get started homeschooling if you are starting from the very beginning. You can purchase the full course, including 13 videos covering everything you need to know to homeschool simply and purposefully at my website, linked in the show notes. Use the code PODCAST for $10 off. Thanks for listening today. Hello, and welcome back to the How to Homeschool course. I'm your host, Jenny Hedrick, and this is session 2 for parents who are taking their kids out of school to start homeschooling. So there are 2 session 2s, and the first one is for parents like you who have chosen to withdraw your kids from school and start homeschooling. There is also a different session 2 called Starting from the Beginning for those who have not ever had their kids in a public or private school. So make sure you are in the right place for your situation. And if you want to watch both videos, you're allowed to do that too. All right, if you are considering withdrawing your kids from school to homeschool, don't wait, just do it. You don't need to wait until you have a curriculum figured out. You don't need to have a plan or even have any idea what you are doing. That will come, and I'm here to help you along the way. Just take them out of school. It doesn't matter if it's the first week or the last week. If it's summertime, great. You don't have to put them back in school at all. But don't feel like you need to have everything figured out before you begin, because that's just not super realistic, and it's going to keep delaying you from pulling your kids out of school. And you're going to see by the end of this video why it's not necessary to have a curriculum or a plan before you pull them out of school. The first step is, of course, to withdraw them from school legally. I've heard advice out there from well-meaning parents who will tell you just to pull them out and not worry about the school district or what the legal ramifications are. And I'm going to tell you, don't mess around with that. You do not want Child Protective Services showing up at your door, filing for truancy or anything like that. So instead, do withdraw them legally. The only thing I would recommend you do before withdrawing your kids is visiting the Homeschool Legal Defense Association's website. That is linked here. It's the HSLDA, and that website will allow you to go to a specific page for your state so that you know what the legal requirements are for homeschooling in your area. So I recommend that you have an idea of what those are before you withdraw your kids, because sometimes the school districts will tell you that you need to provide them with things that legally you do not need to do. So it's good for you to have a decent grasp on what is required of you to start homeschooling your kids. The HSLDA is a wonderful resource for that. And if you join them with a membership, they actually will provide legal counsel for you in the event of a dispute or a truancy charge, or any issues that come up with the school district. The other link I've posted here is for Heritage Defense. Heritage Defense is another Christian organization that provides legal counsel to homeschool families. However, their specific counsel is on issues not related to school. So it could be maybe a medical concern or parental choice type of issue, and they're going to be able to provide legal counsel for those things. So Heritage Defense is who you call if Child Protective Services shows up at your door. A membership with them is very affordable. And again, they provide the first line of defense for any issues legally that come up for homeschoolers that don't have to do with school. So between the HSLDA and Heritage Defense, if you join both, you will be fully legally covered as far as having representation and counsel in any legal situation that might come up for your family. Okay, so once you withdraw your kids, take a minute to establish new family norms. Okay. Basically, life at home as a homeschooler is very different than life at school. Your life is going to be different, and so is theirs. And so, this is a great time for you to focus on what you want life at home to look like. Do you want to establish a chore routine? Great. Take some time to teach your kids how to do the dishes or the laundry or mow the grass, whatever it is that needs to be done. If they don't know how to do those things, now's a great time to start doing some training, start establishing some routines, breakfast together, morning chores, dinners together, afternoon chores. I'm saying a lot about chores, but it's not really just about that. Take time for reading, for getting outside, and learning just to be together and interacting in a different way. Gone are the mornings where you're going to have to rush out the door to, get to school. This is a great time to just play around with how late do your kids actually want to sleep in? Are you okay with them sleeping in and starting their day a little bit later? Or do you want to get them established on a wake up routine? It's up to you. You're in charge here. So you can start establishing those kinds of norms for your family. Getting up and rushing to school is no longer going to be your norm. So, what are those norms going to look like? I want to take a minute here and highlight a resource that I love, which is the Read Aloud Revival website. That is linked here, and it's great for book lists. One of the best things you can do right after withdrawing your kids from school is just start reading together, reading independently. Just get some books from the library and spend time reading. Indoors, outdoors, morning, evening, doesn't matter. Get some books, read. If you do nothing else, that's fine. So this resource is great. You can actually put in what you're looking for, what kind of books you like to read, and it'll spit out a list of recommendations based on age, gender, things like that. So definitely check them out. That resource has never steered me wrong so far. Next, let go of the need to catch up. This is a hard one for all of us, not just people who are taking their kids out of the school system, because we have been programmed to believe that kids need to be at a certain level at a certain age, that grade level matters and is important. And it really, really doesn't. That is a school construct that doesn't apply in homeschooling. The truth is, there is no behind in homeschooling. And I'll say it again for the people in the back. There's no behind in homeschooling. Getting that through your mind is going to take some consistent remembering. The reason that we homeschool, one of the main benefits is that we get to teach our kids at the level they are at and then progress at the pace that works well for them. Maybe they're doing high level math, but low level English. That's fine. Just meet them where they are and progress from there. You don't need to catch your kid up if they were behind in school. You don't need to worry about keeping pace with the other school kids. The reality is they're going to be ahead in some areas, behind in some areas, and right in their peer group in other areas. And it really doesn't matter. When you homeschool, you just get to go at their pace. So let go of that feeling or that need to catch up or keep the pace with other kids. It will really wreck your mindset if that's what your focus is. All right, next, it's when you take your kids out of school, you really need to take time to deschooling. You can look this up. There's many articles on the internet about what deschooling is. But really, what we're talking about here is just taking the time to let go of a classroom mindset for your kids and for yourself. We're going to have a whole video on deschooling your mindset. But really, what we're talking about here is just focusing on what you get to do by homeschooling instead of what you aren't doing. Resist the urge to jump straight into a curriculum. Take time. Okay. Now, I know that most areas do have a requirement for a certain number of days in a year that you need to homeschool. And you may feel really compelled to jump in so that you don't miss out on those days. But remember, learning is happening all the time. It's not only happening when you're sitting down with a workbook or sitting down with a curriculum, right? You can teach your kids through any experience that you have together as a family. And so don't feel like you have to jump right into bookwork. Take time to, like I said, teach your kids new chores, go on nature hikes, watch documentaries. We're going to talk about lots of different things here. Actually, we'll just move there right now. Here are some different educational activities that you can do as a family to keep the learning going without diving straight into bookwork or curriculum. You can take your kids to museums, the zoo, the aquarium, go on nature hikes. Go to the library and just check out books, check out games if you can, and then that also brings up board games and card games. Play together, do fun things. I didn't have this on here, but um, do crafts, watch documentaries. My kids love watching The Toys That Built America, which is a fun docu-series about the history of toys in America. We also watch The Food That Built America. Those are some fun documentaries. Also, try working on some projects together, whether it's gardening or a building project. There's plenty of things that you can find to do with your kids that are educational, that will promote learning without sitting down to work out of a book. And so, one of the other things I think is really important is making time for friends. Now, it's going to be a bit of a culture shock for your child if they have been in a school setting for a while surrounded by friends, and now they're home not surrounded by friends. So, one thing that you can do as their parent is stay in touch with friends from school. Make time to get together with those friends when you can, while also finding some homeschool programs to connect with other homeschoolers. Because sustainably and long term speaking, you're going to want friends that you can hang out with during the homeschool day when everyone else is at school. A great way to find homeschool programs in your area is to use Facebook and Google to search for homeschool programs in your area. There's lots of Facebook groups out there for homeschoolers. All it takes is a quick question in one of those groups to get a wealth of information, both good and bad. Last thing, start small. When you're ready to start with curriculum, I encourage you to start small and at their level. So again, you don't have to worry about grade level here. So don't assume if you pulled your fourth grader out that going out and getting a fourth grade curriculum bundle is going to be what they need. Um, Actually take placement tests, especially in those skill-based subjects. Don't feel like you have to get curriculum for every single subject that you want to teach. There are so many other resources out there like YouTube and library books where you can learn about different things that your child is interested in. Start with maybe one subject, maybe math or English, something that you don't want their skill to, you don't want to lose any of the skill that they've been building up. That's a great subject to start with, and just spend 15-20 minutes a day on that subject, and then spend time exploring the different interests that your child has. Maybe they're really into engineering and physical science, so take some time to explore that with them. Or maybe they've always wondered about snakes and lizards. Definitely get some books from the library and explore those interests. Don't try to push for too much too fast. It's going to backfire on you, and you're going to burn out, and your kid's going to burn out, and you're going to start thinking maybe you shouldn't have done this whole homeschooling thing. But really, what's important here when you're taking your kid out of a school setting is learning what you want your day and your homeschool to look like. All right, you've got this. You can do it. I promise you it'll be worth it. Just stick with it. And in the next video, we are going to talk about deschooling your mindset. So hang in there, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Super Simple Homeschool Podcast. Remember, homeschooling isn't easy, but it can be simple. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend, follow, or write a review. Those things really help other listeners find our podcast. I'll see you in the next episode.